Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Rencast with me, Ren26. This is the Custom Cup. I really don't know much more than that, but this is the Custom Cup match that I've been asked to cast. We've got Imagine versus WongaNS. And when I think it was Owen's on team, Imagine asked me to cast this game, I was pretty damn happy actually, because both these teams are pretty even. And I've also wanted to cast this Custom Cup a little bit, to see some of these maps a bit more. The maps we will be seeing today are Tanith and Eclipse. I think I'll have to justify why it's Eclipse, probably because obviously it's not custom. But the reason it's probably in the Custom Cup is because it's not genuinely played 6v6 yet. So you've got a list of 6v6 maps. You know Summit, I think Biodome these days, not Docking. Vale, we know these maps, but Eclipse technically isn't part of that list of maps that are sort of played on 6v6 terms. So that's probably the reason it's in the Custom Cup. I have to imagine the purpose of this cup is to kind of illuminate maps that are good, but aren't played yet. So get some competition on there, start giving people a sight on these maps that are good but aren't being played, and also probably to provide feedback, so if there's any weaknesses of the map, the people that make them can improve them. And obviously that doesn't really apply to Eclipse because it's kind of done, I would guess. I know the map makers, the custom guys, the guys in the community who make maps like Tanith, they work hard on this stuff. It's just what they do every day. They love this stuff. So I'm sure they really appreciate these matches. They can see the feedback. They can start improving on the maps. A little description of Tanith. Well, you start off by saying it's an NS1 map. So some of these old school guys that have been playing this whole series for 10 years, they know it very well. Natural Selection 1, as far as I'm aware, because I'm not one of those long-standing guys that plays the game for that many years. I don't know NS1, but from what I understand, it's very different. You've got a whole different setup. I think the Gorges did all the building. The aliens didn't have a commander, so all that kind of stuff was handled by the Gorges. Marines did have a commander, but it's obviously going to change the game up a whole lot. I think there was no sisting or infestation, or I think there was a different way it was done, which is interesting. And so all this stuff is completely different. You've got a completely different set of, a whole different meta game. You've got a whole different set of stuff for this game, for Natural Selection 2. So we'll see how a Natural Selection 1 map works out if you just copy paste, which I think at the moment it mostly is. And I would assume feedback from this Custom Cup mod will be incorporated to make it suit NS2 more if it needs it. So if you guys have any feedback, I'm sure you can find a place for that. I can't remember the name of the guy who makes it, but there's a workshop entry. If you go to Natural Selection 2 on Steam, click on the workshop and search for Tanith, you'll find the map pretty quickly. I believe there's 3 versions, but I believe the one that's NS2_Tanith is the one that we are playing today, and you can leave feedback there if you've got any. I'm sure you'll see that pretty soon. So those are the 2 maps. We've got Imagine versus WongaNS. Imagine were the guys that essentially I'd say came 5th in the NS2 WC. So who did they lose to? I believe it was Sorneman. So you had the quarterfinals match. The last quarterfinals was Imagine versus Sorneman, which was a really good match to watch. And essentially that one was deciding who was going to be going to Cologne, the winner, obviously. And we saw Sorneman take that, which means the top 4 teams are Godar, Sorneman, Snails, and Titus, I think. And unfortunately for Imagine, they came 5th, which isn't quite good enough to get to the Cologne finals and semi-finals. But they're still a very good team. And we will be joining the server soon enough to watch these guys, I hope. But they did say they would be a little bit late, so we might be starting in about 10 minutes. Now, I suppose I could load up the map and go through it a bit, because that's going to benefit everyone. I don't really know the map that well myself. But the metagame should still be true. You should still be seeing the double lurk and the Krags and the extractors. All this stuff should still be true. I don't see why that would change, because that stuff's pretty much structure on any map. So you go on Summit, Vale, anything, you're going to be seeing similar things on all of them. It should be true on this one as well. But we'll see how teams compensate for the fact that this is a new experience. So this map is NS2 Tanith. It's a NS1 remake. I'm thinking that Uplink Command is the fixed spawn for the Marines, because every time I've loaded this map I've seen them in the bottom left there and nowhere else. And it's got a minimal amount of extractors, so it's got a total of 8, which I think is on the lower side. So you can see the 4 tech rooms on the corners, and then quite a complicated mid section, which is It's not really got a specific shape to it, like it's not a specific diamond or anything like that. And you can see it's actually this middle section is kind of cut off. Actually, I might get a zoom in on that just kind of see that. You can come round all the way here, but at this point you can't get through quickly. So it seems like if you want to go through the middle of the map, there's no quick way. You've got to go round essentially this. This seems actually it's even longer than that. So if you want to go round the entire of the center here, it's got to be this giant loop. There's no straight way through. Like for example on Summit, you've got crossroads, which is just going to take you from one side to the other. There's no particularly simple route. You've got to take these kind of curvy passages, which is going to be interesting for cyst lines and such. It might be quite easy to break cyst lines. There's quite a lot of vents as well. Actually, you can see vents that's going to be really assisting the aliens who want an early game. If they've got a huge advantage of getting through from one side to the other, that's going to make it very hard for the Marines to hold extractors. So maybe seeing a lot of phase gates early on, maybe a lot of mines to hold this stuff down. The lurks look like they might have a good task. Maybe rooms like this are a little bit too open, but they've got some nice open spaces here. It's quite an interesting mixture. You've got a lot of sharp corridors. Ignore the texture on the roof. It's probably still... There is a roof there, it's just invisible. But you've got some nice open spaces for the lurks. Some good mobility, I would guess. So you've got some good corridors for the skulks to travel pretty fast. I'm not sure if there's enough complexity in the rooms to give them cover though, so you can imagine a lurk in here. He's going to find it very difficult to escape line of sight of the Marines. So that could be a pretty big weakness for them, and the skulks as well. If they want to get on top of Marines, for example, you can see that room actually is quite a good example. If you've got a couple of Marines back here for whatever reason, I don't know if they would want to be, but it's going to be very difficult for the skulks to get on top of that, because even on this pipe, which is probably the best route, you've pretty much got line of sight on the entire room. There's no way of getting on top of Marines here, and it's probably more examples of that. For example, reactor room looks like a pretty good room to hold down if you're a Marine. You could pretty much sit in this bath section. And apart from the fact that you could have skulks coming from many directions, you're going to have a pretty decent amount of time to deal with them. So if you've got your volume up, you should be good to go. It's going to be interesting actually. Both teams have got moderate advantages. I'm worried that the Marines will have a significant advantage due to the fact that these rooms may be set up a little bit in their favour, but we shall see. So I'm just going to contact these guys, let them know that I'm ready. Hopefully we can start casting soon. Again, I think they did say they would be a little bit late, so I think they gave me a 15-minute timer. So hopefully we'll be starting soon. Something else that's interesting about this game, we haven't actually seen much of Eclipse. So obviously Eclipse is the map they added, I think about a month and a half ago. Maybe more, maybe 2 months at most. I believe that was an NS1 remake as well, actually. Okay, I am being sent into the server, and it's on Eclipse. Good. I do want to show off Eclipse a little bit as well, because obviously I'm sure a lot of you know the map already, but in terms of 6v6, I don't think any of us really know it that well. There's probably been a bunch of practice matches on it, but in terms of actual competitive play, because it's so recent, it's not been added to any of the official setups, so certainly isn't part of the NS2WC, because that stuff's been going on for a few months, so certainly began before the map existed, so it's not going to be incorporated yet. And essentially stuff that starts now will have Eclipse in it, but other than that, you probably haven't seen a lot of it. I don't know where the spectator room, I think it's on the right. So this is a classic NS1 map. I think in terms of adjustments to compensate for the changes from NS1 to NS2, there's been some, but I'm not aware of those. I think there was some stuff here to make this a little bit longer for the Marines to get from start to keyhole. But overall, it's a pretty simple map. I think the aliens can spawn at each hive location, so you've got Eclipse, Computer Core, and Maintenance. Just like Vale, you've got the triple spawn here. They can start in any of them. And the Marines are always going to start in the north here. And essentially, they've got 3 paths. They've got this, and this for the extractors, and an additional path to kind of get down into the south section, where a lot of Marines like to go very aggressive on this map. If you can get down to the south of the map, even if doesn't matter where they start. If you've got a couple of Marines at Power Sub Junction, you're going to make enemy life very difficult because you can take on South Loop or Generator Monitors. And if they start in Computer Core, they're definitely going to try and assist one of those. And if they started on either of the opposite sides, they're going to at least try and assist one of them. So if you can get Marines down here early on, you can do a huge amount of damage. You might be able to take out a Drifter, a Harvester, a Crag. If you can get that kind of damage early on, that's a huge amount of damage to try and compensate for. And that can make a massive difference. Additionally, if you can get early phase tech and you can set up a nice phase gate section, somewhere like Core Access, even Power Subjunction phase gate again is probably going to be really valuable. And anything kind of this area, another phase gate in there would probably set you up really nicely to kind of control a huge amount of the map. You can see if you had a phase gate cutting that off, that's going to be very, very valuable. Generally, the advice for the aliens is you've got to make sure you get a second hive set up. You can't get locked off from a 2 hive locations. The phase gates are obviously there to stop that happening. So the aliens have got to make sure they deal with phase gates if they go up in Eclipse and maintenance. That has to be priority number 1. You've got to work out how you're going to take this stuff down. Doesn't necessarily mean go straight for it, but you've got to work out a plan to sort of dislodge the Marines, make sure the phase gates are undefended, and then crush them. Other than that, the map's pretty simplistic. You haven't got anything like Vale's got that double section in the middle in Nanogrid. You haven't got anything like that. It's a pretty simplistic map. We should see some pretty standard plays on it. So in terms of people being ready, it looks like I am and no one else is. I believe, unless I'm on the wrong server, maybe. Nice. Okay, we should be starting soon. We're getting the server sorted. We're getting people on it. Match is going to be good. So let me know what you think of the maps, guys. I've just gone through them a little bit there. It doesn't look good. What the hell's going on here? So put your feedback in chat. Like, are you excited about these maps? Have you seen any of these maps played? Is there a severe advantage to one of the teams? I can imagine Marine advantage for both of these maps potentially, especially if you can just get a little bit of a lucky play on a phase gates or something like that. If you can set something up early on, that could pretty much win you the game, possibly. There's definitely potential there. Okay, I'm just going to take a quick break for water. I'll be right back in a couple of minutes. And then the game should start soon after that. Thank you, guys. Alright, I do dislike loading screens, and that one was probably the longest I've ever had. Someone in chat saying I need an SSD. That is very true. I would love an SSD. If I have to upgrade anytime soon, it's probably one of the things I will definitely be going for, because it's going to make everyone's life easier. It's a bit unfortunate this game kind of requires one, or at least it really benefits to have one in this game. And it's not really... I don't know. It's too bad. Anyway, I don't know this map from NS1. Someone's saying that it did have a double res load. I can only imagine it would be in the center somewhere, unless you didn't have cross spawns. So, I don't know how you'd pull that off, though. And this is a strange... I've thought about this room a little bit. I haven't actually seen it being played, but like this is a strange corridor. From in fact, this is very strange. Like, this isn't traditional. So you see, you've got this kind of long line, and we can zoom in down here. You don't see stuff like this on Summit. Like, you go through a corridor, and by the end of it, like before now, you'd be able to turn off in a different direction. To only have one direction to go for that amount of time is very non-traditional. You don't see that kind of stuff in usual NS2 maps. Like, look at all this. This entire route up to there is just one direction, and then you get three, I suppose. It's all to the same room, though. So there's a lot of single direction stuff here, which I don't know how that will impact the game, but it's certainly different. I don't know any of the room names, so if you guys don't either, don't worry. I won't be relying on them too much, I don't think. Which means you guys shouldn't miss out too much. It's hard to tell for sure, but also I'm not sure whether there's an enforcement of cross spawns. So you see you've got the 4 tech points, and obviously it's not a square. But I think you would expect the cross spawn in 6v6. I don't know if they're relying on that, or maybe it's... Yeah, it's probably different because the marine spawn is fixed. So you've got something like Vale, the marine spawn is fixed. Maybe it's not as essential to have a fixed spawn if the marine's got a fixed spawn. Don't know. If that's how they feel it is, that's fine with me. We'll see how that goes. But these could be very short one-sided games. I don't know. We'll see how they go. They could be quick, fast-paced, easy wins for one team, depending on how the balance of the map is. But it could be damn awesome, because I don't know how these teams might be loving this map from the previous game. So we will be going live soon. The teams are WongaNS versus Imagine. Imagine's team, Ancestral, Wob, Onzor, B1, Bitey, and I can't remember who their commander is. I did see these guys play yesterday. I was watching Bitey was doing it. I think he's doing it now as well. He's got his own first-person stream up with his comms and stuff. That's probably on a 3-minute delay as well. But ironically, that'll be synced with mine because we've both got 3-minute delay. So if you want to check out that as well, feel free. If you want to see top-down my stuff, check out this. Don't worry about that. You're sorted here. So these teams should be ready soon enough. I'm sorry for the delay, guys. Obviously, it's not really my fault, but still, it's nice to start on time. Yeah. SSD. Don't worry. I'll work on it. One day, I'll find one that's not 50 quid. Something cheaper than that would be nice. Don't even need a big one, just get your operating system on it, get NS2 on it, get a couple of other games, just leave it and you're sorted. You've reduced your load times by probably like 80%. So I'm wondering how much these guys know the map. Anyone that's been playing NS for a long time knows the map very well, I would guess. People who are natural selection 2 players and not much more than that probably don't know the map very well. And I forgot to actually do this. For WongaNS, you got Hynips, looks like he's on the comm share. Leechaw, Mega, Keller, Malice, and X-Ray Cat. And I don't know who Imagine's last player is. We might be able to check from the server information. No, it doesn't look like it. Angelo85 says, talking about SSDs, the textures and corridors kind of look like the interior of a Star Destroyer. Yeah, so this map isn't finished. Best example of that is probably here. The sky is there. Well, yeah, the universe is there. And there's no roof on this space station. So it's still being built. Obviously they're remaking it, but I'm sure he doesn't want to start texturing a bunch of stuff that might change. So you can see this room, he's probably happy with it because he's textured it, he's got water in there. This looks very finished, he's happy with it. But the less textured it is, probably the more likely it is to experience change. So they're trying to change the password so people can't see it, but that doesn't help if they put it in chat. So someone there, Wob, he's probably still drunk from Christmas. Alright, enough of the fun. These guys should be starting soon enough. Oh, whatever. And I don't know why he's doing that. Okay. Okay, I'm ready. So it looks like Imagine's ready. Oh, Highvol. Highvol is their commander. Yes. He's a very good commander. A lot of people know him. He used to command for Godar. Then they replaced him, or he left them for Imagine, and they got someone new, and it seems like he's still in a very strong team, but it looks like Godar is still just as strong as ever in that top 4 in the NS2WC. If you guys are headed to Cologne, let me know, because I'm going to be there with a bunch of other guys. You can have Red Dog, Wasabi, Blind, Hugh, a bunch of the developers. I think Seb from Australia is going to be there. He's one of the Australian casters. Perhaps he's going to be there. I might have misremembered something. All of the guys from Godar, Titus, I believe, Sorneman and Snails are going to be there. A bunch of community guys. Probably Bonkers is going to be there. He's a cool guy. Maybe some of the community members that map. So maybe Flatterectomy, people like this. I'm going to be there with a couple of my buddies, and it's just generally going to be pretty awesome. So let me know if you guys are going. We can say hi now. We can meet up there. It's going to be pretty fun. I'm looking forward to it. I've got my tickets sorted. So I think ultimately the problem I have with this map at the moment is it seems like if you're the alien side, once they find your spawn, it becomes very predictable what you're going to be trying to do. So if you look at Satellite Command right now, you know they're going to assist to here and here. That didn't really help. Anyway, here and here. And so that's your target, is the Marines. You just build on this side and then start attacking. And you sort of defend these lanes here. I'm predicting a lot of mines will be very good here. Because there's such short corridors, there's a lot of events that you need to be dealing with. Mines are going to have to be incorporated to help deal with the fact that there's so many events to cut across the map or get down here. The Marines don't have access to these paths that are going to be so vital for the aliens to use. It's going to be very difficult to get to stuff like West Access Corridor from a start like Satellite Command, but it's going to be essential. You've got to stay on top of the res, so even if they build right at the back, it's important to keep on top of this stuff. So that's going to have to be a priority for the aliens. It's not just remembering, but finding a way through what looks to be an incredibly maze-like map, traversing past any potential Marines, mines, and just getting through to the far side, dealing with the extractors, and then getting back into the fights, or whatever else to do. And for the Marines, I suppose it looks like just a standard expand and push type of map. Just go around the back, cap what you can, defend it as best you can, but ultimately just push, because that's going to be your strongest defense, is force the aliens to defend their harvesters. That way they're not on top of your extractors. So I mean, it should play out pretty well. Probably just your standard armor 1, weapons 1, shotguns, weapons 2, phase gates. And if the Marines are getting a lot of extractors, maybe some catbacks, but... And because of the size of the map, it looks like it's a little bit bigger than usual. Probably be seeing Spurs with the Shift Hive, potentially. It's hard to know for sure, but that'll be interesting to see. And if you guys are watching me, please don't join, because that's delaying the match. I'm sure you guys aren't. I'm not sure what's actually going on, but from what I can tell. Yeah, so it's not entirely sure what people are doing here. So if it's you guys, please let us play the game. Let's have fun. You can watch it on my channel if you don't want that perspective. If you want to see first person, go ahead, watch Sparty's channel. That's not a problem with me. I've got no problem with that. Otherwise, it looks like we'll be going really soon. So this is WongaNS versus Imagine. This is the custom cup. I have no idea what these teams are doing. I don't know how well they're doing. I think, unless I'm wrong, I read it, they're both just in Group B. And Group B has had no matches played, which means it's anyone's point at this point. No one's ahead of anyone. I think if I had to make a prediction, I assume it's a best of 5 or 7. I think Imagine will probably take it, but I don't think they'll have an easy time. I think it'll be a little bit convincing, but not a steamroll. I think they're probably a stronger team than WongaNS, although Imagine together as this 6 group, they've got a lot of experience, but together I think not together. I think the experience in terms of like a six-man team is probably on WongaNS's side, so that could play in their advantage. So we'll see if that has an effect on it. And we'll also see the map is maybe going to change up the metagame a little bit. Maybe we see different life forms. A gorge tunnel was probably going to be extremely valuable if you can get a gorge tunnel connecting up these 2 opposite harvesters and try and incorporate some defense there, keep those 2 things alive. Maybe with some whips and crags. That's going to help out hugely. If you can hold this room and this room with the tunnel, it's going to make it so much easier to hold these sections between, and ultimately fusion reactor maybe as well. There's a lot of potential for gorge tunnels to be extremely valuable here. And it looks like we're finally going live, so excellent. I hope you guys are looking forward to this. I definitely am. 10 seconds till we start. This is going to be WongaNS versus Imagine for the custom cup. The map is NS2_Tanith, which is a custom map. And today is a good opportunity to learn it. So we are going live. Pretty standard Marine start in the bottom left. I'm pretty sure that's a fixed spawn, and the aliens in satellite command. Nothing particularly interesting from them, and a power-built armory for them with early shotguns. Wow, that's really untraditional. So maybe looking for some really fast aggression to the alien harvest spawn. Wob doing some scouting on his own. He actually doesn't take any damage there. Gets a parasite off into Malice, and he's still not received any damage. Which is really great for them, and some really aggressive sisting into the top of the map. So looks like Imagine are feeling pretty confident. They want to do some aggressive harvesters. And again, Wob is in this scouting position, and he sees all these guys fly past. 4 Skulks in position to take these guys on. They know that there's a 5-man push here. And not very good job from the Marines, not taking any Skulks out, and they're turning it around now. B1 is still left in the fight up against these guys with their pistols, and it looks like the room is completely cleared. X-Ray Cat solos the final Skulk, but that was a 5v4, just about in the Marine favour, with Ancestral finally on the base here. With only 1 IEP, it's going to take a very long time for those 5 Marines to respawn. That's 10 seconds each, I believe, which is going to be looking like a 50-second respawn time for the last guy in the queue. And again, these guys really aren't checking their corners. Ancestral in a scouting position there, and absolutely no response from Keller there. And it looks like these guys may be grouping up for a bit of a base push there. It looks like they're bored, actually. The Marines trying out a little bit of an interesting shotgun rush here, and then they sold the armory. Maybe they've already got the shotguns. I've no idea what's going on now. Really think the Marines are a little bit confused on this map. Not sure they know what they're doing. They're all grouped up here, and they've got no extractors on the map. Probably the Imagine strategy of taking huge amounts of harvesters in the north is going to work out really well, because there's going to be no harassment for a very long time. And I'm very worried about WongaNS right now. They really just haven't got any kind of competition ready yet. Another 4-man push into chemical transport. Actually, the 5th guy coming in here as well, and they're really just trying to recycle the idea they had initially. The shotgun research is done. All they've got to get is this armory up, buy the shotguns, rush the hive, and this could be actually their only potential win at this point. They did kind of consign themselves to it very early on. They've got 4 Marines in position. Build up the armory, grab the shotguns, rush straight into satellite command and see how that does you. They've got absolutely no defense in base right now. 2 Skulks, Buddy and B1, and this really is just a mad dash from both sides to try and clear the enemy's base.
Command station under attack.
Quad shotgun, no medpacks, going to make sure that these guys can't get into the base unattacked. Only 3 guys left, and I'm pretty sure that hive is going to be pretty healthy. Enough for the command comm chair to go down. Looks like Imagine have won the first game. So a really untraditional play from WongaNS there. Trying a strange shotgun rush. You can see they sent all 5 guys to this room. I don't know how they knew where the hive was. Maybe they got the med pack down to make sure they knew where the hive was. And then the plan clearly was to grab a shotgun and just push straight in and clear the room out and win the fight. But they lost the first fight before getting the armory up. They had no shotguns and they lost that. So that's unfortunate for them. So clearly these guys need to rethink their strategies a little bit, because there was potential there to just win the game as Marines, but if they'd won that first fight, maybe we would have seen that. But they lost the fight here. They really didn't deal with the scouting skulks early well at all. They had no way of doing any damage to them. They just let them walk off. Then they took on a 4v5, and it would have been nice to see the 4v5 win in the Marines' favour with a couple more Marines. I mean, they only had one, and with a single IP, having 5 guys together and then losing the group fight, or at least losing 4 guys in it, that's gonna cost you huge amounts. I think maybe playing the long game would have been a little bit safer. You know, go for some extractors, see if you can just out-strategy. But sure, they tried it. They went for a shotgun rush, and it just didn't work out. So maybe next time. So we will be going on to round 2. This time, Imagine will be on the Marine side, and I pretty happily will predict they'll do something a little bit more standard with the extractors and the upgrades. And the aliens will probably just go for something a little bit more standard, although we may see a base rush. If they do go for a base rush, like 5 skulks in the enemy base, the Marines will probably see that coming. I mean, especially after that previous play we just saw, if WongaNS goes for a Marine shotgun rush, the chances of them going for a skulk rush, you at least have to think about mines. Probably we'll be seeing mines as early as possible, just in case. And if they go for it despite the fact that there might be mines up, we could be seeing a pretty crushing defeat, certainly in the first bit of combat for WongaNS. So we'll see how that stuff plays out. I really want to see this map open up, though. I want to see how the gameplay evolves on this map. I mean, we barely got about 3 minutes and that was over, so that's unfortunate. Excellent. High vols in the chair. That's the Marines ready. Both sides are ready. This is going into round 2 on Tanith. Imagine versus WongaNS, and we'll see how the Imagine team do on Marines this time. See if they take the win as convincingly. So we've got a reset here. We've got the aliens starting in the top right. And uplink command generic spawn for the Marines. All 5 of them spreading out nice and evenly. 2-3 split there. IP dropped in base, and commander's probably going to be doing the building there, perhaps. No mines actually. And the IP is not being built, and it looks like Ancestral's being called. A little bit of miscommunication there. He's going back to base to build that. WoW B1 pushing into this room like we saw previously. Only 2 of them going up against the 4 skulks, and it looks like a failed parasite from X-Ray Cat and a lot of damage onto him. So that's exactly what we needed to see before. Deal with the parasite and take the skulk off the armor there, and try and scare him off. B1 and WoW pushing through this corridor, and it looks like these guys are going for a base push. You can see they're playing very defensively, very slowly, trying to sneak past, and they've got a perfect route to the base. Only Ancestral in defense with a double IP. Instead, actually, they're going for a sneaky attack onto Wob and B1, who've already taken down 1 guy. If the extractor is tapped, this could be a pretty early win for the aliens. Looks like it's a very difficult room to take on. You see Malice goes in there, takes a huge amount of damage. Nice job from the aliens getting that kill, but Keller is very low health along with Leechor, and double pistol kill from Wob. Very standard, very nice from him. And that's exactly what we wanted to see on the Marine side. It looks like harvesters are being echoed out. A full health harvester was just dropped into waste handling, where there is Onzor, who's free to just axe that thing slow and steadily. And a Gorgian base to do a lot of the building of the harvesters and such. So they're going for a nice Echo harvester build, which certainly means the harvester they got there is going to be alive for a little bit longer, but it's certainly doomed, especially with Bitey covering the corridor that allows reinforcements to come in and deal with that. You've got the Gorge coming in to heal Leechor, but it looks like Imagine are right on top of this game right now. Onzor's just doing nothing there, waiting for the harvester to die. Bitey covering the corridor. That's pretty much the north side of the map held. Really interesting observatory here, actually. That's going to cover probably about that much of the map. That's going to cover a couple of vents. The centre of the map's definitely covered by that observatory. And these vents down here. So there's a lot of potential for that observatory. That's a really nice interesting play they've got there. Maybe that's something from the old days of NS1 that they know. And it looks like Bitey's actually pushing into a Gorge and 2 Skulks right now. Whip being echoed in right next to the Harvester. Launches loads of damage onto Bitey, and he's forced to retreat. He's got a couple of med packs dropped for him. He's back up to full health, and Ancestral's there, maybe with a welder. And he's going to be back up to full health. Mines and observatory are complete. And I can't really see what WongaNS is doing right now. They've snuck Malice right round the back, and they're going to be taking on the 5th extractor that Imagine have built so far, but it looks like they're going for a 6th. So in terms of resources, WongaNS are far behind, and they need to find a way to deal with that. B1 and Wob doing a fantastic positioning here. Wob with some really line of sight damage onto those 2 skulks, and those 2 skulks really weren't able to kill B1 quick enough. He took them both out, and it looks like Keller's coming in to reinforce, but it's a little late, and the scan goes down. Perfect scan. Outsmarting Keller there, and he has to retreat. There's no way you can take a Marine on if he knows exactly where you are like that. Face tech early start there. So clearly they're very happy with their aggressive positioning. They would just want to get the face gates up, secure these positioning. And very nice gank from Leecher and Malice onto Onzor and Bitey there, and they clear them up very nicely, but B1 is actually in position to take on a Skulk. And the Gorgeous forced to retreat. So these guys are just so aggressive right now, and they're not being cleared. Shotguns have started, so still no arms lab upgrades. And it looks like B1 and Wob finally caught out a little bit. B1 with some fantastic pistoling, a double kill there. He's getting a lot of medpacks to try and deal with Mega. X-Ray Cat from behind. But that was really impressive pistoling there from him. That's nice stuff. Ancestral and Owns are in the center of the map. Still waiting for the phase tech to be complete. Protecting their observatory until that happens. And now that that's finally done, I don't know where the standard positioning is, but you could imagine it's probably somewhere here, somewhere central to the top of the map. That allows them to cut off any kind of cyst line here, and it's a nice aggressive position to cross cargo storage, so that's definitely an idea. Or perhaps they could just build in cargo storage if they want to go super aggressive and stay right on top of the hive. So you are seeing that Gorge tunnel, it's finally there, but it's very late, and they're not killing the extractor despite being at 2% health. It's acting as a little bit of cover there for X-Ray Cat, who didn't want to take more rifle damage than necessary, which is quite smart, but at this point they really need to be on top of these extractors as much as possible. There's still 5 up for the Marine side, and at the moment there is still potential for the aliens to turn this around. They've got no arms lab upgrades, which means if they clear a lot of the phase gates, deal with a lot of the Marines, and try and turn this around a little bit, there's definitely room. There's definitely room for the aliens to turn this around, but at this rate, we're seeing the Marines doing really well and the aliens kind of struggling. It's going to be, I'd be very surprised if they can turn this around. So we've got the Lurks on the field finally. Malice and Keller have taken Lurks. And they're flying around the hive right now. You can see how forced to be defensive they are. Malice is sat right on top of the hive, grabbing the heels, and Keller there, dealing with Onzor. So you've got the 2 Marines each side, one on this entrance and one on this entrance, doing a really good job of just culling these guys. They're not allowed to escape out of this side. X-Ray Cat onto Onzor. We'll see how Onzor does. Actually doesn't manage to get a rifle shot off because of the reload speed, I would guess. And that means Wob has forced to retreat because he was going to lose line of sight on the left. And now he's in a great position, so really smart. Just fall back until you can hold these corridors nicely. And he's in a really smart position there. So still no phase tech has been dropped. Imagine on 5 extractors, and the harvester's count is on 3 almost. But the whole time the aliens are very defensive. They're trying to hold on. Shotguns are done, so you've got the Bitey Ancestral combo here. It looks like a mine has been dropped behind them. Rifle shotgun combo. Wob takes on a Skulk there alone. Up in acidic processing this is. Scan goes down to make sure he's clear to push up into cargo storage. So it looks like they're trying to make this double push happen. And it looks like they don't actually care about waste handling right now. They scan it. They've left one guy to deal with it, but there's a Crag there, so it's going to take them a very long time to deal with that harvester. And Ancestral and Bitey on top of Keller. The Keller with a double shotgun blast takes him out almost immediately. So this is looking really bad for the aliens right now. They finally got up to 3 harvesters, but that goes down as soon as that occurs for them. They still have the Gorge, who's in position to take a lot of these harvesters from unbuilt to built. Another couple of shotgun blasts takes out the Lurk there, and this is looking terrible for the aliens. At this point, all you can predict is really the Marines are just going to push in as far as they can. If they're forced to retreat, they will, but I think at this point the lack of eggs, lack of life forms, and lack of upgrades is going to make sure that the Marines have a pretty easy time clearing up this room and dealing with the hive. So it seems like, I have to say, I think both sides don't know the map that well. It seems to have played in Imagine's favour because they are the higher skill team, I think. So maybe it will balance out a bit more on a map that they maybe know a little bit more on both sides, if they may be a bit more familiar with Eclipse. But certainly on Tanith, Imagine were just the stronger team, and there's not really much more to say than that. They had way better skill. You can look at the scoreboard there. It looks like they had a total of, if you ignore B1 actually, took 4 deaths there, which is more than anyone else on that team. But 1 or 2 deaths on the rest of them, that's pretty significant compared to the 7 or 8 deaths some of these guys had on the alien team. So that was an interesting game. ultimately there wasn't much stuff to analyze there. The strategies were essentially unnecessary and arbitrary. It was just skill. The Imagine guys were very good. They didn't lose combat like once. Essentially, they lost when they went really aggressive, but that's kind of like suicide pushing, just because you can, just to keep the aggression on the alien side of the map, because that makes your own extractors safer. Other than that, there was very little going on from the aliens in terms of turning it around or keeping on top of extractors or making any kind of openings. So ultimately, that was kind of like painting by numbers for the for Imagine. There, they just cleared up every so often and eventually pushed the hive and won. So not much to really discuss there. Might have been nice to see the Gorge Tunnel come up earlier, because if you're going for that kind of echoing the harvesters out, you kind of need to set up something to support the harvesters. You can't just drop them and leave them. That's not enough. Even if they've got a lot of health, then that's obviously the strength of the shift. Shift out the harvesters, so they're going to be outside of the map with full health and a little bit of maturity. They don't have to be vulnerable, because they certainly are vulnerable when they're building. But you still need to defend them, so you need to get crags on that, you need to get some players on that, and certainly a Gorge Tunnel would have definitely assisted in that. So Gorge Tunnels are definitely going to be awesome on this next map as well, because the map is so wide at the bottom, there's so much going on the south side, that it's really nice to have a Gorge Tunnel connecting some of those important locations on the south. And it's pretty easy to defend them. There's some tight corridors, you can clog them up. If you've got the Gorge involved, you can get the clogs and maybe some Hydras if you're feeling fancy. Whips, very valuable on this map, because again these tight corridors really play into these static defences very well. And well, this could be another stomp for Imagine, but as I said, these teams should be a little bit more familiar with this map. Eclipse is certainly something we've all been playing for a couple of months, if we've been playing on pubs or practice matches perhaps. So maybe the familiarity will help WongaNS stay up on top of Imagine. I really just like loading screens. I just like talking over them, because it feels like there's something to talk about, because there's something happening but nothing's happening. And there's so many mods on this server. So obviously this is a custom mod server. You've got a lot of maps on it, a lot of stuff on the left there. You can see there's all kinds of maps that are being played either in this cup or just generally. So there's a lot of interesting maps to try out. And if you want my recommendation, Kodiak is the map I've been playing a bunch. It's a really interesting map. It's kind of like, how I describe it is, you've got essentially 3 long lanes, and they're kind of connected in between. So it's 3 long parallel lanes, and you've got extractors some of the ways down them, and then they're kind of connected, some of this, the top and the middle. And it's some really interesting gameplay. It looks really great, and it seems to play really well actually. I've played it a lot more than some of the other custom maps, and there's a lot of strength to that, and that's Kodiak. Some of these other maps I haven't played. I've never heard of Yana, Uplift, Fracture. I think I might have played Fracture, but I don't remember anything about it. Caged? Which one's Caged? I know the map with Satan's Butthole. I think that was changed to Red Dog's Butthole or something. I know that map a little bit, but I don't think I've played it. So the custom map cup's obviously interesting for that. You can get these maps that we don't know anything about, see how good they are, test them out, give feedback, and then hopefully we can enrich the game. I would guess that's the plan. If you get people playing these maps and they're good and there's a lot to them, then you stick them in the standard 6v6 setup, and then they become standard, and then this is a map that people could love, and that's a lot. That really counts. That helps the game, I think. I don't know. We'll see. So if you like these maps, let the guys that make them know. If you want to know who makes them, I'm sure you can find it on the workshop. You can just subscribe to these maps. They're easy to find. You just search for them, subscribe, turn your game on, and either look for servers that are playing them. I think servers like this are public, whilst they're not being played on like this. So when the 6v6 is not happening, there maybe the password is taken down and people could just play them traditionally. So grab a couple of friends. If you find an empty server with these kinds of maps on them, fill them up and check out these maps, because they're definitely worth playing. Like, there's no reason why they should be worse than any of the official maps. The guys are just as skilled, they care just as much. Everyone cares when they make stuff like this. So you've got a lot of love into these maps, and that really impacts them. And so they're just as good as any of the other maps you've played. Like Summit. Obviously Summit's pretty exceptional, but there's no reason to downplay these maps. They're just as good in my opinion. Wow, so any time now it would be nice if I could connect. This is very long. I wonder if this is because there's so many server mods. I'm rating these servers so highly, and then it's just like the whole time I'm just sat here waiting. So a little bit of a paradox there, or at least a contradiction. So we'll be going into Eclipse in a second when my desktop finally connects. I'm sure they're waiting for me as well, actually. They're probably sat around saying, where is this guy? Unless they're all connecting like I am, slow and steady. Actually, no, there's no way I've connected slower than Yivol. Yivol has the slowest computer in the world, so I should be fine. Yep, knew it. He's not there. Good. If I was later than him, something's wrong. We'll see him connecting soon enough, but that's high vol for the Imagine team. If you're slower than him, that's a bad sign. So when my map finally loads, I don't know why it hasn't. I can discuss it a little bit. Obviously, we do know Eclipse. I'm sure you've played it a bunch. But on the 6v6 side, just like Vale, the spawns for the hives can be any of these 3 rooms. And then at that point, you'll assist along the south of the map. I think it will be unlikely to see, for example, if the hive spawns in Eclipse, I think it would be unlikely to try and take Triad, because it's essentially equidistant between both of the spawns, and so it would be very dangerous, very risky to try and defend something that's not just far from your base, but close to theirs. So we'll see how that goes, but I think, again, Keyhole, maybe it's a little bit easier to hold Keyhole. It's kind of more defensible. You've got this short corridor and this tight entrance, and it's a little bit at the back there, you might be able to whip up. So in terms of which ones you might take, Triad would be high risk, and Keyhole medium risk. It's a nicer room to try and hold for the maintenance spawn, and if they spawn in Comp Core, probably a nice little tunnel up to Eclipse, and you just assist to the bottom of the map. Or maybe the other side. I think generally Eclipse is more favourable if you spawn in Comp Core. Because look at this room. Like, you want to defend this room from Marines, you just, like, 2 clogs, and they have to. It's just awesome. Or a whip, you could get a whip pretty much anywhere in this room, and people can't just stand there. So that's really good. South Loop has pretty much the similar advantage. You can see it's just as tight, it's just as hard to get in. It's a little bit more open. You can see, like, it's a little bit more open. So if you've got a whip here, like on this spot, you can snipe it from either of the entrances. But you can get a crag up. It's essentially equally. I'd say it's easier to hold generator monitors, but they're pretty similar for the Comp Core spawn. If you're in maintenance or Eclipse, you pretty much don't have a choice. You have to go south. Maybe take Keyhole if you're feeling brave. So we'll be seeing Imagine on the Skulk side, Alien side, first of all, and we'll see what WongaNS do. If they go for the shotgun rush again, not only would it be predictable this time, it was ineffective last time because they kind of lost combat before they got the shotguns. Maybe if they can grab all the shotguns before the combat and then use the shotguns to win the combat, because it's a pretty significant advantage. That could be some momentum. That could be something they could use to just crush the base immediately, or maybe then spread out and get the extractors up. I don't know. The shotgun rush, it's limited in scope. Like, there's not much you can do. Once you go for it, that's it. You commit to it. You pretty much set yourself up for that. You can't just then deviate from that plan. That has to be your entire plan. And this again is a very long, kind of thin map. You know, if you want to get from one side to the other, it's quite a distance. So Shift Hive is usually very effective for that. Again, with the Shift Hive, celerity in combat is awesome. There's a lot of stairs on this map, actually, which is really good for Marines. Marines on stairs are very hard to kill. This isn't really discussed that much, but if you can jump off stairs, you're getting a lot of speed. And you're going to need celerity to try and deal with that. And I'm pretty sure there aren't that many maps with this many stairs, actually. Like, you've got stairs all over the place. You can't really get it. It looks like, in fact, the north of the map is just higher up. So if you want to go from south to north, you've got to cover some stairs. Again, the stairs here, stairs, it's a lot of stairs. Stairs are really good for Marines. If you're fighting on stairs, you just jump and you're a hell of a lot safer. So it looks like we're still waiting. Oh no, Hive was connected. We're good. Other than that, we're going to be hoping for a 6v6. We've still got 5 guys. We can't be playing a 5v5. This is not I-49. Reference there for people. You might know that one. And as I mentioned, I think before Tanith began, some pretty damn good phase gate positions. If you can get a phase gate position in core access, that's going to set you up with a nice, easy extractor. The generator monitor's just there, and a really good position to push into this hive from. You've got a nice corridor section. It's really easy to hold. Imagine you've got a Marine here, and he knows that there's a guy coming from the north, or he knows this guy's coming from the south. He's gonna have a very easy time holding that. And another phase gate, kind of this line somewhere along here, is going to be really nice for clearing up maintenance or separating Comp Core from maintenance. Other than that, mines, you'll probably see a couple of mines in base. You'll probably see some arms lab upgrades. Nothing too fancy. I can't imagine anything too too special if they don't go for that shotgun rush. I would really like to see them go something traditional. Just play this map out, see if they can outsmart Imagine, see if they can get more kills than them, and see how that plays out. But they might be thinking for a shotgun rush, especially after being defeated 2-0, which I will put on the scoreboard there. Thinking about it, this is the custom cup, but it's still the rounds. I don't know sports, but essentially these aren't semi-finals or quarterfinals, so no one needs to win. So you can get away with draws, so I assume 2 maps means people just trying to take as many of the 4 points availables. So we could be seeing a 2-2 or a 4-0 or anything in between. 3-1 is the only thing in between. So WongaNS still in here. They still want to get as many points as they can, especially if they're going up against other teams that they're more evenly matched against. If they can get a win, a single round up against Imagine, that maybe a closer team can't get that round, then that's going to put them ahead of them. So if you look long term, it's still these rounds are still very important. And if they can take a 2-2, that sorts them out nicely. But again, Imagine are a pretty good team. So something I would be hoping to see, we do see the double lurk all the time now. It's just standard double lurks, all you ever see anymore. And it's pretty effective. I mean, one lurk isn't on its own, it's just not good enough. The second lurk helping the lurks helping each other out is just so much more effective that it makes the first lurk more valuable to have that second lurk on the field. But there's weaknesses there, and this is something I'm sometimes seeing teams deal with and sometimes not. So if you're going to go with the double lurk play, in my opinion, you need to make sure that you've got some way of keeping those lurks full health, or at least high health with the armor. And there's a few ways of doing that. Obviously, the most effective way, but the most cost in terms of time, is to just go back to the hive. So you probably want to look for ways to make sure that you're compensating for that or dealing with that in different ways. So maybe crags on the outer extractors. That's a really good way to keep the lurks high health and in the combat zones. You keep the crags in a good position so they don't have to go back to the hive, because going back to the hive is very, very intensive in terms of time. Other stuff you can do, an early gorge is really valuable to help lurks out. If you've got a gorge backing up a lurk, it's going to make his life so easy. Every time hit and run, he can just be full health every time. Really nice stuff. And if they don't go shift hive, if they go for the crag hive, mucous membrane is extremely effective at keeping an entire group of skulks and a couple of lurks alive. Early on, the mucous membrane is very valuable. And so is the enzyme. So we'll be seeing if the Imagine guys do anything if the match goes on that long, which it certainly didn't previous couple of rounds. If we get to that point where Imagine have to deal with the lurks, deal with lurks, if they have any strategies to try and keep those lurks full health, this is something I want to see from these alien teams now. Is you've got to make sure these lurks are being as effective as possible early on, because the investment, you have to make up that investment, that 25 P-res for 2 players. You can't just have the lurks doing a little bit of combat then flying back to the hive every time. They need to be getting kills, they need to be staying in combat as often as possible. And when they are forced to retreat, got to make sure that the downtime when they're retreating and getting their health back up is as minimal as possible. And I think a lot of weaknesses of the lurks at the moment is that they're spending too much time not in combat, not helping out. Okie dokes, well, we'll be seeing how this map plays out soon enough once we get this 5th WongaNS player, who looks like he's in the spectator room. The ready room. I do like to say ready in all chat, even on pub servers, because it kind of reminds people that people need to be ready. So you say it in chat, gives people a little bit of a reminder that there's a match going on. So let me know what you thought of Tanith in chat, guys, because it was cool. Obviously we didn't see a full-fledged couple of matches on it. They were kind of short-paced, a little bit one-sided, but the map seems interesting. It'd be interesting to see how it played out on a more balanced set of teams. Excellent. Well, we've got everyone on the server, and WongaNS has readied for them, which is strange because they haven't got 6 players, but maybe he'll just join in when they're ready. And I can only imagine are ready because they got the 6 guys there. Hival's in the chair. I'm sure he'll type ready when his enemy has 6 players. And there we go. So we must be going live in a second. I was going to read chat. Oh, you poor guys, I was going to read chat for you. So many stairs. Oh yeah, someone's saying all those stairs used to be ladders. I don't know how that would impact the game. I know in this game climbing ladders is slow paced. So anyway, we're going live. This is going to be round 3, Custom Cup versus Wonga Imagine. Whatever I'm saying, you know what it is. Just read the map at the top. And we've actually got a maintenance hive spawn for the aliens and a power building of an armory. Yep, armory is done, and then early mines. And it looks like the Imagine players spreading out nicely. So you got Wob on the scouting position there. He goes in early, gets off the parasite. A little bit of rifle damage onto Wob, but not enough actually. A double parasite there. So it looks like both those guys went in at the same time. Nice coordination. Bitey and Onzor in Triad and Ancestral hiding in this vent section between these two corridors, and he's kind of stuck in there, especially if Leechor and X-Ray Cat kind of hide out here. Looks like Triad success for Onzor and Bitey working together there nicely. And actually a 2v2. Ancestral goes in nice and early, and nice teamwork from those guys. No med packs to save Mega from the Parasite attack, and these Skulks are doing a fantastic job in combat. I think that's 3 Marines down already, and Leechor is alone up in this corridor here. And all the Skulks rotating around to deal with him. Batty on the stairs takes huge amounts of damage and does get the final pistol shot on his backside whilst he tries to retreat. Keller long range up against B1. A lot of speed. Parasite tags, but he falls back with Ancestral, and you've got Onzor on the corridor on its way to Triad with the Parasite. So these guys playing really aggressively with the Parasite. You could just sit in the corner and wait, hope for a nice drop attack. But these guys going for the Parasite, and it looks like it's being extremely effective, because every time the Marines get Parasited, they slow down. They stop, they slow down, they don't want to push with the Parasite. It looks like it's actually scaring them. And Imagine have clocked onto that, and they're using it very effectively to make sure these Marines are slow and completely unaggressive. 2 Harvesters already for Imagine. Probably be seeing that third one anytime now. Malice, AFK there. Or maybe he was looking in the vent, but he was looking the wrong way. No doubt about that. Mega on the extractor. He's trying to bait these guys in. And Onzor trying to come around the back, but X-Ray Cat on the long range. Sprinting towards this extractor. Bitey comes out, tags these guys, so they're both parasited. Mines are being dropped. It looks like Wob bit a mine. And Keller with the medpacks here. 100 HP, no armor. And Wob coming around behind him. Finally with the sprint. Keller's surely going to hear that. Any medpacks? No medpacks to save him. 0 damage done by Keller. And Leechor now with a 1v1. Nice one. Medpacks coming in. He takes a double kill onto those two. B1 and Wob are now down. And looks like Keyhole might be a little bit vulnerable. Maybe they can finally get a couple of extractors up. And Ancestral with the Parasite already dealt. He's just got to get a couple of bites, which is super easy coming on that corner. Very nice job from Ancestral. Good positioning. Looks like Malice is rushing around to Triad. He's got a Parasite from Bitey in that vent. And Bitey pushing up, maybe with Ancestral take on this extractor, but these WongaNS guys are so slow paced. They're so terrified right now. Look at this sys line. You can see they've gone all the way around here. Shift Hive is complete. 3 Harvesters complete. X-Ray Cat gets caught out by Ancestral and B1, who are now going to take on Malice with a 2v1, and Onzor was there just in case, but not enough damage from Malice to take those Skulks down. Nice mine takes out those 2 guys, but I'm pretty sure it's not going to be enough to turn this game around. They need to start getting rifle kills. They need to start making some aggression in the south of the map. Building power here. Really not sure why. They're in no position to get phase gates. They need to start making sure they're working on upgrades and shotguns for when these lurks come out, otherwise they're going to have a very difficult time. Immediately the lurks are coming out right now. We'll be seeing Bitey and Ancestral on these lurks. Ancestral in position actually. In the vent, and we'll see if these guys can deal with him. And Bitey with a 1v1, actually making sure that B1 can sneak up behind Keller, but it looks like Bitey's taking the fight anyway, so Keller not able to deal with the lurk there. And Ancestral in the vent, flying around, distracting these guys, probably using his ears to make sure that they're not freely building this. Or actually no, he sees on the map the Leechor's into the Harvester in Generator. Bitey and Ancestral now grouped up in a great position to take these 2 guys on. And if they clear these guys up and get a Skulk involved, that's an easy extractor kill. WongaNS on 4 extractors though, which is finally pretty good for them, but Imagine now on 5 Harvesters almost. So still a huge advantage to Imagine right now, and they are getting their spurs up. Can't check the science tree for you guys, but we are seeing the triple spur is being completed within this section of the game. Wob and Bitey in the north of the map with Onzor and B1 by Axis Alpha. And actually an opportunity to take the base on now. We've got one guy respawning with a load of mines around the IPs. But at the moment it looks like these lurks are going to have a free reign taking on these Marines right now. It looks like they're going to have a very easy time. There's no upgrades for the Marines. They're just as weak as they spawned. And very nice from B1 taking on one of these guys. And no response, and these guys have got to make sure they're killing these skulks a lot quicker than that, and Bitey gets away with full HP, means he can go straight to Access Alpha, and these guys are never having to heal up. They're never taking any damage. Ancestral full health again. If these lurks never take damage, the Marines will absolutely get nowhere. Armor 1 coming in, and no shots onto Ancestral, still almost entirely full health. Double bite onto Keller, very nice from him, clearing these Marines up. And just as the Marines were getting a few extractors up, they're completely cleared off the board. All the Marines are in the north side of the map. You've got Mega and X-Ray Cat coming into down to Access Alpha. Ancestral is listening to these guys, and they probably can hear him on the roof as well. And a drop attack. Nice, huge amount of spikes. Double bite from Ancestral. Really good lurk attack there. Looks like Keller's coming in for another round. And he's calling in back up X-Ray Cat and Mega, forced to retreat from Access Alpha. They want to take the long range defense and back up Keller, who's hiding in the corner there. And he pokes out for a lot of damage with the rifle, does pretty decent damage. That's going to force Ancestral to go back to heal. Actually, he's very confident right now and wants to get the drop attack onto Keller. And it does go very nicely for him. And this is going to be a tough one. X-Ray Cat and Mega caught in this little corridor. They do push up towards Triad. And 2 Skulk, 2 Lurk attack. Nice one from a lot of damage from the aliens. And the Marines not quite enough to scare any of these guys off. Owner on B1 sticking in the fight, of course. They don't mind dying. So they do clear up those Marines pretty nicely. Owner on B1 now. One of them dealing with the extractor, and Malice does go down, probably up somewhere in the north of the map. Finally, Armor 1 was completed and Weapons 1 has been started, so WongaNS not in a terrible position. Unfortunately, the aliens are in a great position, so the imbalance is definitely in the Imagine side favour. And that's a pistol kill from him there. Keller, he's all alone, as usual. He's been alone a lot of this map, and it's just not been effective enough. I'm not sure what these guys need to be doing other than just maybe aiming better. Because at the moment it's just about skill level. You can see Bitey here taking long range rifle shots, but 0 damage. 0 damage, and that really needs to be addressed. So we got Leecher and X-Ray Cat into Eclipse. A lot of med packs, a lot of rifle damage. Ancestral on 50% health, B1 with 20% health, but they're not clearing the skulks up quick enough. A lot of bites, a lot of rifle shots, and then the distraction is done. Bitey and Ancestral come in just in time, clear those guys up, and Crag moved into position to make sure that there's no long-term damage to Eclipse. 6 harvesters, very safe for the alien side, and such early fades, wasn't even seeing that coming. Owner and Wob with the 7-minute fades because of those 6 harvesters. They already got 5 extra P-res, which means they can grab their spur upgrade very soon. Probably celerity for these guys is the definite favourite for fades at this point. Onzor, wow, he's extremely low health, taking huge numbers of mines on his way to Access Alpha. It looks like he was probably trying to get his fade in position for a flank on these guys, but now it's kind of turned around a little bit. If the Lurks and the Skulk can't clear these guys out, then Onzor is in a huge amount of trouble stuck in these, and they are forced to retreat, so it looks like Onzor needs to be very careful. Ancestral looking to come into position to help Onzor out. If he can clear these guys up, which he seems to be able to do, certainly on one of them, and then Bitey as well. So they're trying to clear these guys out so that Onzor can escape, and he gets bored and tries to go out the other exit. And actually they called it was clear. B1 up in the hive here, up in the spawn room. Biomass already started, so that's really impressive. Second hive's almost done. Lurk upgrade is coming on nicely, so they're pretty confident that their lurks won't be going down anytime soon. Looking to get that early Umber, which is going to make it very difficult, even with the shotguns, to get any life form kills. Malice and Leechaw in a position here. They have got Armor 1, Weapons 1 and shotguns. But it looks like we could be seeing Umber upgrade at about the 10-minute mark, I think. Which is going to be very difficult to counter. You can imagine a team fight with 2 fades, Enzyme, Spurs, up against Weapons 1, Shotguns 1, on top of the Umber and that as well. It's going to be extremely difficult. And these guys are just farming the base for kills right now, clearing mines, just tanking the mines with the fade health there. Not even spiking it down, not even being safe about it, just tanking these mines. Keller and Mega, they're actually split apart here. Wob comes in for a 1v1. Good job from Keller, a little bit of damage onto Wob there, but not enough to do anything significant. And now Mega's going for the Harvester. He's actually going for the Cyst there, which is probably the better call, but it's certainly looking bad for the WongaNS guys, especially with this Umber upgrade looking like it's going to be finished in 6% hive growth. Let's check on the Onos. B1 on 57 P-res, pretty standard plays so far. We're looking for like a saved Onos for B1. And once that's ready with the Umber, it's going to be extremely difficult for these guys to clear the health bar off of the Onos, and that's probably going to mean that the Marine base is going to be extremely vulnerable at that point. Fade upgrade with the 5 P-res, I believe that gets them Vortex, which was maybe handy, maybe not, I don't know. I don't rate it highly, I don't think other people do. We'll see how that plays out. Onos upgrade would have definitely been a better option than Fade upgrade. Looks Looks like Malice tries to get a sneak attack onto Wob, 50% damage, and Onzor comes back with 50% health. But it does get cleared up by those two Fades working together. Again, Access Alpha, pretty much all the game's been in Access Alpha. They finally rebuilt it. Rifle, shotgun, no shotgun blast onto the Lurk, who's coming back in for some more damage, even using the Bone Wall here to try and force these guys down to this Triad corridor. And then the shotgun's on the ground, and these guys just not able to do enough damage to kill anything. In fact, if we look at some of the deaths on the alien side, 1, 3, 2, and a 4 and a 5, and we look at the deaths on the Marine side, 7, 8, 8, 9, and 10. These guys have finally got their shotguns in, but Onzor, he falls out of that after 5 shotgun blasts with full health. And these unbelievable spike damage from 2 Lurks is fantastic, and it looks like all 5 Marines are dead. Wob just camping the IPs there. They really had nothing to play with. And I really have to say that was 10 minutes of doom for the Marines. They were just completely unable to do anything there. Alright, we'll be going to round 4, I would assume. This time, WongaNS on the alien side. We'll see how they fare, but it's not looking good at this point. It looks like they're really outclassed in terms of skill, and they don't really have much strategy to match, so... yeah, I'm pretty much going to make the prediction. This is going to be a 4-0, but WongaNS have really, you know, they gave it their best, and I hope they really care about this last round as well. I don't want to see them pissing about and taking it lightly. You know, every round counts. This last round and the first round are equally important. Going to start reading chat. So we've got Wonga could do another Hail Mary play and go all Lurk. Yep, they could go for something crazy like that if they can get the 3 Harvesters up and get to that 4-minute mark without losing the game already, which is something they might struggle with, because you know it's even that imbalanced at this point. But if they can get the 5 Lurk play, and if they're really good at Lurk, all 5 of them are really good at Lurk, which is somewhat unlikely, I would guess. I mean, it takes a lot of skill and practice to play Lurk. You've got to actually invest a lot of time into it. But certainly they can try it out, see if they can, you know, clear the Marines and then do some res biting with the Lurks, which is certainly a possibility. Some other stuff, I mean, they could always go for a base rush. You can always go for a base rush. I mean, it's up to the Marines to defend their base. And if they don't, then, well, you win. So that's something they have to keep on top of as the Marines. And make sure that if the WongaNS have to keep on top of that. If there's ever any opportunities, they go for it. You've got to be brave with that kind of stuff, I think, especially at this point where it seems like you're not going to essentially win by traditional methods. Go for something untraditional, go for a base rush, go for something a little bit sneakier. So it looks like you guys are kind of agreeing with me. This is essentially Imagine outplaying. How is Eclipse doing? I mean, I wonder how it would fare with more even teams. That was kind of like the aliens just expanded downwards without much resistance. We saw a couple of Marine pushes, pairs of Marines into Eclipse, maybe 3 or 4 times. Weren't actually able to take the Harvester down because the Skulks came in, and when the Lurks were ready, the Lurks came in. And then when the Fades were ready, the Fades would come in and defend it. At no stage were the Marines in a pretty solid position to take on Eclipse. And no phase tech. We did see weapons 1, armor 1 complete, but not enough to take on the Lurks, especially with the aim not quite on point. Needs to be a little bit better if you want to scare these Lurks off nice and early, so you can start winning engagements rather than losing them every time. Cool. We've got a 6v6. I'm going to say I'm ready. Just again to remind people that people need to be ready. Look at that, say it straight away. So that's a little tip there, guys. Remind people that they need to be ready, and they'll press ready. So that's WongaNS. They've said ready. Let's see if they actually are. Imagine they're going for it. This is it. This is probably going to be the final round. I'm not entirely sure. And it's certainly a 3-0 at this point, and it could be a 4-0 if the Imagine guys play to the standard they've been playing at this entire time. So WongaNS get the Eclipse spawn, which means they're certainly going to be sitting down to generator monitors and computer core, and probably heading up Triad and Access Alpha to try and take on the first Marine push. In terms of Marine base, we got a dropped IP, as we saw in round 2 from these guys, and again, they don't have anyone build it, and last time we saw Ancestral fallback to build it, but we're not seeing that this time. Onzor slow and steady pushing into Triad. Bitey, nice and aggressive, taking a good position, so this is important. He's coming to this position, he's chasing down the Skulks, he doesn't want to be waiting for them to come to him, he goes and finds them and deals with them. B1 as well, he's hunting these guys down, and Malice is being literally hunted. B1 coming back for him, and they clean him up nicely. Looks like Onzor taking on a Drifter, all alone up inside Triad. And whilst he's empty on rifle here, these guys are all watching him. That's a great opportunity to take him on, and they lose a Drifter because of that. And it looks like they're actually trying to outsmart Imagine. But this is really predictable. 60 seconds in, and 3 Skulks haven't been in any combat, and Onzor's been free on the left side. You've got to... Oh, wow. You would think they would outsmart this. So come on, guys. Imagine, you've got to see through this. This isn't hard to see through. 3 Skulks haven't been in combat. This is base rush. They're going for it. What are they going for? The comm chair. Okay, that's a good decision. Don't kill the Marines, and the IPs aren't going to help you. So they're going for the comm chair. We'll see if they drop another one. Maintenance. This is cool. This is good. This is looking good for WongaNS. It's not an instant win. They have to keep this momentum up. IPs are still built. Comm chair's down. It's not a win. Oh, the Drifter was in place. I love that. They tried it. They had a Drifter in place to take out the blueprint. But the Marines are in position to take it from a blueprint to an actual build. IP is going down. 3 Marines going back to defend the IPs. And the IP... Oh, 1%! Unbelievably bad luck. Oh, I can't believe that. And it looks like they're just going to reform. Oh, that's such bad luck for WongaNS. And the extractors are still up for Imagine. So, ultimately, the last 60 seconds have still been in Imagine's favour. They lost a comm chair, they built a comm chair, they didn't even lose an IP. So that was, in terms of resources, that's still in Imagine's favour, and that's a really bad sign for WongaNS. They could have been a little bit more brave with assisting, especially with such successful base rushing. I really feel like they could have attempted a computer core harvester, maybe. It's hard to know for sure, especially at this point, and if you don't have the sight that I do. But when you're given an opportunity like that, you've got to capitalise and take risks. I think you've really got to go for it. They've lost 2 Drifters already. Harvesters only on 2. Extractors were on 5. And Onzor single push into the hive. He goes down nice and quick. That's what we need to see. Clear these Marines up when they come in. Wow. Okay, so now we're seeing it. The WongaNS guys, they slowed down. They were probably pretty excited about that success there, but at this point... Wow, they're trying it again. Oh, I see. He was hoping the IP was on 1%. He sees it's not. There are mines all over the place. And they did weld it up, which is pretty notable, actually. They could have probably just left that. And that would have been fine. And in fact, it looks like Leechor was probably hoping for that when he went into the base rush there. But that second base push. Good job on the extractor and staying on it. Good choice. And they do take it down. WongaNS with 2 harvesters, and it looks like generator monitors. This fight's really important, and Wob has a massive advantage even with the rifle butt coming out. A lot of health on his side, and so we're going to be on 1 harvester for WongaNS, and Imagine on 6 extractors within the next 20 seconds, I would guess. That's going to put them in a good position to set up an arms lab. I don't know where, because they've had no one die recently, so they can't build it in base. But we need to be seeing an arms lab coming on, actually. By maybe falling back to build that. And Onzor single push into Triad. They don't build, because they know it'd be extremely hard to hold that. Unless they can get some kind of advantage position there. Onzor, single attack, takes on Hynips very nicely. We could have seen Hynips and Mega push up together there, 2 Skulks, rather than 1 by 1 taking on a dual push. And they do actually take down the Harvester in WongaNS's hive. That's a really bad sign. When you see your Harvester in base go down, that's a really, really bad sign. We are seeing some couple of early spurs from the aliens, so they really did want to take advantage of that. But at this point, they're just good targets for Wob and Ancestral to take down. And if they do take these spurs down, good game pretty much will be called almost instantly. Maintenance was destroyed by Leech, or maybe it was sold, because pretty much it has no value. And at this point, how many eggs have we got? Eclipse has 0 eggs. Oh wow, 5 aliens are dead. Leech or somewhere up in the top right. So that's, well, yeah, that's good game. I don't know why they haven't called it, but that's good game. Wow. These guys, as soon as they can, take on the eggs. The hive's going to go down within the next 20 seconds. They're just going to ignore the spurs, because at this point no one can take advantage of those except for Leechor, who's pretty much going to be dead on this, if not the first bit of combat he experiences, in the second one. Shotguns are started for no really good reason. Someone got in the comm chair, it looks like. Actually, X-Ray Cat snuck into the comm chair, is now dropping eggs with the T-Res they have spare. And they've got 4 Marines to contend with, though. All of the eggs are going to be smashed when the respawn wave is dealt with. This is looking terrible for WongaNS. They've got to just call GG at this point. They have no opportunities right now. They've got nothing. It looks like Leechor's coming in for finally a little bit of that combat he needs to get involved in. And they actually might clear the Marines up. Wow. So, bad positioning, bad line of sight. Onzor and Wob not able to assist their teammate there. But there's still 2 guys. Where's the med packs? Why is Yivol not on top of this? Onzor in a good position to take the portal if he needs to. And wow! It didn't work! So everyone saw that coming, but he just got screwed over. That's unfortunate. Okay. There's the arms lab. So teammates go down. Finally, they're able to build in base because they actually lost some players. And we'll be seeing them take advantage of that on the next 20 T-res. There's the armor 1. Keller on the roof. Shotgun B1. He's got no upgrades. Accidentally shifting up there. Ancestral with a shotgun as well. And they... Wow. Nice. 2 skulks down. There's no med packs. Yvel really... he's not even in the comm chair. He's building. Probably. So that was a good opportunity for them to clear these shotguns up. And I don't know why I'm saying anything though. They've only got 0 harvesters, which is less than advisable. 3 T-res, that means they're ticking 1 T-res, I think it's every 12 seconds, so it's going to take about 60 seconds for them to have enough to assist and extract there. And within that time, it looks like the Marines will be making successful shotgun push into the... Oh, the egg spawn, the egg spawn. So they're doomed, they've got nothing. And this is really good game. There's nothing. There's nothing the aliens have. They've got no T-res, they've got nothing. Just a bunch of eggs, and those are kind of running out as well. They've got 3 shotgun Marines to deal with right now. Malice, Leechaw, Mega, and Keller. No commander right now. 1 Skulk's already been defeated. Wob there with a 2nd kill. Malice and Mega on top of Wob, but the shotgun coming in from Onzor. And these guys are clearing up the respawn waves as soon as they can. Mega's still not going down. X-Ray Cat comes out of an egg, and he's not quite dead yet, but I doubt he'll survive much longer. Nice triple kill there. Oh, they finally killed the hive. Wow. I'm pretty sure that's it. So that's cool. WongaNS didn't give up. You know, they stuck with it. That's nice to see. I'm not sure what the Imagine guys thought of that game, but I'm sure they're pretty happy with that. I don't think they had to try that hard. It looks like they were essentially on top of the skill there. They weren't really outskilled at any point. In fact, I don't think a little bit of combat went in WongaNS's favour at all there. So that was kind of an extended loss. It was a lot longer than it needed to be, but overall, WongaNS just therefore you see the 4-0 win, and that's pretty much the end of it. There was nothing really to analyse. WongaNS, looks like they're just, I mean, they're a good team, but it looks like Imagine are a very good team. And so you put a full stop on that, really. That's pretty much the end of it. I think that's pretty much the end of my cast. I will probably, I'll talk about the NS2WC. So we've got the semi-finals and the finals coming up in the 22nd of February weekend, which at this point is about 3 weekends away, which is pretty exciting. Let me know in chat if you guys are going to that, because that's going to be pretty awesome to meet you guys. I will be there as a spectator, so we've got about 100 spectator seats. I'll be one of those. It's going to be a lot of fun to meet the players of these top 4 teams and the casters and some of the developers of the game. So thanks to them, because this is definitely one of my favourite games. I've only been playing it for about 1.5 years, I think it is, but the gameplay is just excellent. It's just has to be one of the best games in terms of gameplay I've ever played. It's obviously got no story. I don't have any music. You know, the graphics are all right. The load times are pretty average at best, but the gameplay is just the best. You could take any lore, any kind of stuff, and put it in this kind of gameplay with the commander and the individual players, and it's going to work well. And it's so exceptional. It's a pleasure to cast it. It's a pleasure to play it. And thanks for watching me, guys. That was a 4-0 to Imagine, and this was the Custom Map Cup. Thanks for watching me, guys. If you have enjoyed this, please do follow me, because I'll be catching any games that come to me, and those will be coming up over the next few months, I'm sure. I'll be doing more. Thanks for joining me, and I will see you next time.